I'm just gonna record this, and if it doesn't come out, all right, I'll re-record. Um, so I'm actually gonna make a response video to Lynette Atkins talking about hookup culture. I feel like for myself, I actually didn't start having sex until way later, but I do know that I was like hypersexualized way earlier, and it wasn't really by my family members. It wasn't by like my father, my godfather, nothing like that. It was more like as I would go out into the world, though, like other men that I would interact with, like they're all consistently talking about my appearance. It's like, oh, you're so beautiful, your dress is so nice, oh my god, I love your hair, oh, you're so pretty, oh, all these things. And it's just like you're like a little kid, and like you adult men telling you things like that is not a compliment. Like adult men like looking at the beauty of children is very strange. Like the and I just want to start by saying that that is a fucking weird thing that for whatever reason it is happening in our society, but like we definitely should not normalize that because that is some really strange shit. Okay, yeah. So to continue, I think the hookup culture for me was something that like I don't really want to say like I participated in hookup culture. Something that happened to me is like, I don't know why. Maybe I think it's something about like the brown skinned girl wherever you go. Like your reputation it precedes you. So like even before I had any sex with anyone ever, there were literal men in my community who were talking about sex that they were having with me. Even though I wasn't sleeping with anyone, I didn't even have a boyfriend, nothing. That is how like my introduction to kind of like hookup culture started. That's weird as fuck, right? Like how do and the funny part about this was like I didn't even know that this was happening, but like there was another guy. It was a guy who I just thought he was cute. I wasn't dating him or anything, but like I was just kind of like friends with him, and he like said this in a joking way someday where he was like calling these guys losers. He's like, you guys are like actual losers. Like you are literally going around telling stories about a girl who doesn't even know you exist. And like he explained that to me, and I feel like to an extent that is actually what's happening with hookup culture, because there's some guys who have access to a lot of women. So like when you hear the stats on like what's happening with online dating and how there's like so many, it's like 90% of the men are on the apps, but they're not matching with anyone. And then there's just not that many girls on the app. So it's not like all the guys in society are having their pick of of like all of these beautiful women. I have the hiccups, sorry. It's not like all of these men in the world have their pick of all the beautiful women and they're all online waiting for them. That is not what's happening. Also, in more traditional societies where people value family and children, like beautiful women, especially like beautiful religious women or just women who are more chaste and prudent, like they get married very young. Only in the black community does this not happen because no one really values children. And I feel like because of the very high incarceration rates, illiteracy rates, poverty rates, like no one is really incentivizing the continuation of like a failing race. Because like we don't want to incentivize poor, stupid people. That's dumb. Like that it doesn't help anyone. So that's why nobody's being like, okay, let's like talk about this. Most people are just like ignoring it, and then it actually does go away because nobody's born. That's another thing though. But let's go back to like hookup culture. I feel like some girls are actually getting validation by like sleeping with someone and then telling other people about it. Like to me that's weird. Like I can't really explain that. I don't have much to say about it. I don't feel like I actually know that many people who are like promoting hookup culture. I feel like on the other hand, it just kind of happens, as in like you might be like it's really like, I think we would be surprised at how many like situationships are happening out here. It's like you're kind of like dating someone. Like, you might be hanging out with them really tough, like talking to them almost every day, going to dinner every night. Like, you just might like really be hanging out with this person pretty tough. And there's just kind of a lot of like commitment and expectation that comes with putting a label on something. Like, I don't want to say that this person is like my boyfriend or my girlfriend, even though you are both like going out into society as that. And so then, you're like sleeping with the person who you're basically in a relationship with the person, but because it's not like an official relationship, then when you guys choose to end that relationship, what's actually happening now is like that is a part of hookup culture. When in a relationship, in reality, it was more like the end of a situationship, which is just a relationship that's over. I feel like I've seen that a lot, and people are clustering that into hookup culture. And then there's other things that are happening with like OnlyFans and sort of like pay to play situation, escorts, marriage, where there are real escorts in the world. Like people who are men who are paying women to have sex with them. That is happening. There are other sort of relationships where there's not like direct payments, but it's more like pretty women are just like, I'm going to go on dates with rich men. If I like this rich man, I might sleep with him. Maybe I won't. It's not really like, some people like to call it like sugar baby, like everyone's trying to cluster everything. But sometimes it's just like a date that turns into like a hookup. And I mean, I guess you could call those situations like participating in hookup culture because you are sleeping with someone before marriage. But at the same time, like, I feel like those instances, they happen so infrequently. Like, a girl might go on a date with a guy. Maybe she might date him like 5 or 6 times, and then maybe she'll sleep with him once, and then if they don't really like each other after that, maybe they like leave. But that's like once, and then that girl just goes to just date someone else. Maybe she doesn't even sleep with them. So she slept with one person in a year, and now that's like hookup culture. I think it's like this aggregation of like all these different stories. Like, I think it's only there. Then there are like fuck boys. Fuck boys are something different, because fuck boys are like getting on the apps. Okay, they're making the profiles, and their entire goal is just to like meet as many people and sleep with as many people as humanly possible. Like, that is their whole ambition in like life. It's very strange. And I saw a video by Andrew Tate that I'll actually link here, where Andrew Tate was basically talking about how he personally believes that men whose ambition it is to go out and sleep with like thousands of women, those men are more gay than anything. And Shara Saman was actually saying the same thing on live. And I've made a couple of videos about this, and all I'm saying is that there are men who are literally in the closet, especially black men who are like seriously in the closet, and it just doesn't make any sense. And like the reason that this impacts women, and the reason that you have to talk about this in the dating market, is because these men are trying to use women as cover-ups while they participate in all this like very it's just like, I'm not gonna call it weird deviant behavior. It's just like in the closet sexual behavior that maybe like people who are more prudent just are not interested in that type of sex or that type of relationship. But women are being like pulled in to it, because like if you're just like a naive woman, right, and you're just like, oh wow, this guy is really nice, he has a really good way of like being kind to me as a female, and I like him, and then you start to like know him and you grow with him or whatever, and then you realize that like, wait, he is actually very interested in like having sex with other men or something, and then that becomes like weird. You're like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've heard that story many times, and I've actually like, I dated one guy who I think he might have been like, it was very strange. I think he might have been like in the closet, because like his friend was like telling me, it was like it was the weirdest thing ever. Like, it was like basically his friend was like telling me like, that like he's like very gay, like he's very gay. And I'm like that's not insulting. Like, I know I'm not uncomfortable around gay people. That's not a thing. I would just wonder, like, why would this guy be interested in me if he's interested in men? That's strange. And it definitely made me just like backpedal a little bit and be like, ooh, okay, that's weird. Like, why does he feel the need to like drag me into his situation? It made me feel so the whole thing was just like very uncomfortable. And also watching these two guys go back and forth because they started like arguing about it like in front of me, and the whole thing was just very strange. I gotta say, like, I'd never experienced anything quite like that. That was the whole tea. But so to go back about hookup culture, sometimes like it really does seem like the other person has the best intentions, and the fact is people can just play a role, you know, and make it seem like they are actually trying to be in a relationship with you, and the fact is like maybe they're not. And I think that is actually what's accounting for more hookup culture than anything, right? Because hookup culture specifically has to do with mostly like the women. Like, men can't participate in hookup culture by themselves unless they're hooking up with like other men. That is a thing. But I'm just saying, like, for the hookup culture, I think most of us are talking about in terms of like women. I don't think that women are just out here being like deviants and being like, yeah, let's go sleep with like everyone. Like, I just don't think that that's a thing. I haven't seen that, or I don't know any women who are like that. And I will say that like I said before, men have a really good, it's not even a good way, it's like not really effective at all. They just gossip so much. Where like all they do is like talk about women that they don't even know. Like, and men are just out here lying about quite a lot. They'll be like, I slept with her, oh yeah, she did this, oh yeah, she did this. Like, and this is why I've said this on my channel a couple times. If you want to know like about the sex life of some woman, you would have to ask her. Unless she said it, I wouldn't believe it if it was coming from some guy, unless you were seeing it on camera and stuff. But I've seen some crazy shit where like there was that girl, is it Kimberly? Kimberly, the for Harriet girl, who literally the other day, it was like last month, she gets on, and I guess some guy, for whatever reason, he had just tried to tarnish her reputation by saying all this awful shit about her. But then he literally started making like fake porno videos of her. And like she doesn't even know this guy, and he just like started posting literal porno videos of her. And it was just like, I have seen things like that come out where men will just like pull up a video of like someone and then say that it was someone else and then be like, this happened. And so it's like a lie, but it seems like it's real because it's like video footage or whatever. And I guess this kind of goes back to just another theme I've seen in the past, where there's only so many women, right? Like in the society period, there's not like hundreds of millions and everyone's so accessible. That's not the case. There's kind of like a few, and like men are in competition for those few women, like all the men. So like women are the prize. I'm not even gonna repeat what Shara said today in her live, but it was actually very funny. Well, I guess I can repeat it. She said it. She was just saying that like a lot of the men who are saying that they are the prize are gay for pay men who are basically accepting large amounts of money just to basically do gay sexual acts, which is, I think I've lived in the Bay Area for too long where I've just heard too many stories, okay, of like that is a very real thing. And people who are living that life, like, I'm not here to judge anyone who's living that life. That life is real, but also I personally don't feel comfortable with that life. I don't think trading money for sex is a good thing. Like, I think that maybe I do think morally that prostitution is wrong. But I guess I also just understand the constraints of society, and that I just feel very bad for men who can't get any women. And if you eliminate prostitution altogether, there will be a significant number of men who like won't ever have any interactions with women at all, and that's really unfortunate. So I have these like mixed feelings about it. But I think, and it's another reason why I continue to come on and talk on this channel and talk about just a lot of things, just to showcase the fact that like a woman with a job can live out 100 years of life and be like pretty much okay. It's just not the same for a guy. So I mean, if you're interested in like coming on this journey with me, like I'll probably be around for a minute. And we're just gonna like keep talking, and like it doesn't really seem like there's gonna be any quality dudes who come along, so we'll just keep finding more and more ways to like, you know, entertain ourselves here.